Kumar Sen.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman Saab. At the outset, I crave your indulgence for the time. Secondly, I rise to give my observation on the Finance Bill 2015. It is basically comprised of the tax proposition and tax management pattern of the government, the proposition on that. But I think it has to be taken in the context of the overall budget. And Finance Minister number of times here and while presenting budget in that house also, and also while introducing the Finance Bill, he told us about the context that we are in a era of a severe fiscal constraint, and that constraint was further aggravated by the government's praiseworthy decision of devolving more funds to state from 32% to 42%, resulting in reducing the fiscal space and further resulting in drastic cut in the allocation on health, on education, all centrally sponsored schemes, which all taken together in already a very grim situation is pushing down the purchasing power of the people, common people, thereby shrinking the domestic market. Now government's whole approach is to speed up the growth. Growth based on which? Has the domestic market has got something to play in that growth model? And if it is to be an employment generating growth, it has to focus on the domestic market, expansion of the domestic market. But your allocation pattern and the economic management, all taken together, is acting in squeezing and shrinking the domestic market. Maybe you are looking after a very bright export prospect in the days to come. And maybe precisely on that ground, I note the optimism expressed my friend VP Bandore right now, sometimes back, that China is ceased to be a cheap labor economy. That is a matter of optimism. Thing will come India. So let us make the labor cheaper, cheapest. And a total project has already been undertaken by your labor ministry to completely dislodge the labor out of all protection to make labor cheaper and cheapest. Your GDP growth will be sidelining, will be appropriating at one side, creating an obscene economic disparity on the ground level. I think this is the context in which you are presenting your finance bill, presented your budget, and I don't blame this for you because you are only 1 year in the government. But this is the context on which you have presented this budget. And last time also you repeated this context, the extremely gloomy situation. And even on the last quarter of this year, the manufacturing, despite all optimism, manufacturing is not picking up. Manufacturing, the growth appeared and manufacturing investment appeared to be down. So in this kind of a context, I like to draw your attention whether your tax proposition, when you are lamenting on a fiscal constraint, you have given a giveaways of 8,315 crores on direct tax. You will be immediately, definitely arguing, we have given a lot of concessions to the salaried class in terms of income tax. Welcome. But please give us a disaggregated figure. How much of that 8,315 crores of direct tax concession, what is the share of your giveaways to big corporates who are also contributing handsomely to your non-performing assets of the nationalized bank, and thereby on the savings of the people of the country, they are dominating by not paying back the loan. It is the same community, how much the giveaway share of the giveaways to them and how much the relief you have given to the worker, the salaried class. Similarly, but still the question remains, you have given a lot of concessions on MAT to foreign institutional investor. You have again deferred the GAAR, gross and avoidance rules. You have again deferred it for 2 more years, which started during the UPA regime. The game of deferment has started. You are also again deferred. So you have given all these. While suffering from a severe fiscal constraint, is that a logical thing? And on the other hand, You did that. You know that this is not logical, but you did that because you neutralized that these giveaways by a 3 times more burden on the people on account of the indirect tax, 23,315 crores. Again, you may say, we have reduced tax in certain area to incentivize the industry by reducing customs duty on 22 items. You have reduced excise duty in certain areas to give relief to people. If we take into account and factor in those reductions in customs and net, then actual burden on the people of indirect tax revenue will be more than 23,315 crore as we have shown in the budget. Is that a policy of sabka saath, sabka vikas? You are giving giveaways. On the other hand, the burden you are imposing by increasing indirect tax revenue, by cutting down your allocation on different social welfare and health, education, etc. Every item of such allocation has a contribution to the disposable income of the common people. Every item of those allocations. By doing that, you are doing this, a clear bias for the corporates and against the people has been clearly demonstrated, and that demonstration can be erased out by your everyday announcing number of schemes, Suraksha Yojana, etc., etc., etc. Some place new scheme, some place renaming the old scheme that has been going on but not implemented. This is just befooling the people. That kind of an approach, it is expressed, that is my party's view on this thing. I think I must put that on record. Secondly, I like to point out one thing. Kindly tell us, in this constraint, the feature I have been raising every year, despite such constraint, after giving all concessions, I am not talking about, please 2-3 minutes more. Yes, despite all, after all revenue foregone, I am not talking about revenue foregone. Immediately, Jaitley ji has a pet reply to that. So I am not talking about that. After all that foregone, whatever tax you assessed, you are not collecting that. As per your own statement, last year it was 4.75 lakh crore direct tax, and out of which around 1 lakh crore is undisputed, no litigation, nothing of the kind. You are just kept uncollected. And if you see the pattern for last 6 years at least, it is not only your regime, previous regime, it is clear that it is a deliberate ploy to allow pilferage from the public exchequer for those who matters, for those who donates. It's a deliberate ploy to allow pilferage to public exchequer by them. If you study last 6 years figure on this count only, and also study the figure of undisputed tax dues on the matter of direct tax, why should you do it? At least if this part is taken care of, your fiscal deficit target which you are planning, it will go down to 2%. Only this point, your tax management is properly revamped. There is something deliberate in the process, and to Honorable Finance Minister, I will urge upon you to deal. Along with this, I will make certain suggestions. One, your deferring of PDMA is a welcome step, but in addition, I will request you, please reconsider this approach. In the name of separating RBI from the public debt management responsibility, I think it will not be a very good proposition. You must, because RBI, despite all difficulties, playing a very important role in the matter of money management and inflation management. Don't withdraw. You have withdrawn it. No, you have deferred it. I still request you to please reconsider. Now, I'll request you to please reconsider deferment of GAR and bring it back, and I will request you to permanently defer this PDMA. That's the difference between the two.
Okay,
just I'm completing. 1 minute. And my request is on sugar, both for sugar cane producer and sugar industry, both are in very much difficulty. State has a role to play. One side addressing will put the other side in the problem. And here a role of state is there please intervene. Both are very important player in our economy, in our consumption also, consumption pattern. And third, please reconsider. Please don't argue that allocation has gone down. State has getting more money, they will tackle. No, they cannot tackle. State is having their own priority in their own areas. This higher devolution to state will give them a little comfort in managing their indebtedness. Already most of the states are indebtedness. So they cannot put money in your central scheme which you have transferred to them. So please reconsider your flagship central scheme, particularly Anganwadi, midday meal, ASHA for these associated health activists, their remuneration, they are giving a human service for maintaining the standard of our human development index, social development index. They are giving a human service. Please reconsider the enhancement of their remuneration of all the scheme workers, pending their recognition as worker and giving them minimum wage. This is my request, and with this request, I urge upon government to please reconsider and please correct your bias against the mass of the populace, which was grimly demonstrated by your taxation proposal and your economic management proposal. Thank you, sir.